Hello everyone, welcome to Virtual Monday. My name is Derek Hunter. I'm here with Talisha Hunter, and we're going to discuss her new book. Before we jump into the book, I just want to run down a list of success stories that Talisha has accomplished since the time that she's actually talking about her background in the book up until now. So from my understanding, okay, Talisha, the name of your book is called Childhood on Fire, My Journey from the Hell of Baltimore to High Water. You currently have a master's in nursing education and leadership. You are a nurse educator / mentor, community organizer, single mom of 2 amazing young men. Now you're the author of a bestseller on Amazon and a motivational speaker. Here's what I can tell you. That's simply amazing. It's a mouthful to say, and we're going to jump into her book now to kind of talk about that journey and what got her here today. So my first question to you is, and maybe you can just talk about it for about 2 minutes, is what's changed since you've written your book?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you stopping by to support me, to show me your support and your stance with me during this journey. To answer your question, you dropped the bomb on me. A lot has changed. I feel like the same people who have committed some of those acts, those atrocities, they're still alienating me. They're still challenging me, with my truths. They are persecuting me and making, last minute attempts, if you will, to silence me.
Okay. So my second question, okay, and we'll just kind of like keep that right in the back of your mind, that answer. You wrote the book, okay, because you were hiding behind the pain.
Yes.
Right? And since writing the book, you've expressed that it's helped you kind of like come from behind that stone wall, so to speak, right? How do you feel it's helping and benefiting others that are in your same scenario, that might be going through your same scenario, that are trying to break down that wall?
Okay, good question. So many of you know me, and many of you who don't know me, I like to be authentic. So I'm just going to pretty much be myself now. I've been getting a lot of calls, a lot of texts, a lot of messages, emails, saying, Talisha, thank you for being courageous. Thank you for your strength. And thank you for, pushing past the pain and those barriers. Because of you stepping out there, you didn't have to, of course. And because of my, you just shared, I have some success in my life. But your story gives me the confidence now to tell my story. It gives me the confidence to let go of toxic people, to get away from those relationships that are damaging. It's pretty much an eye-opener. And in addition, I think that it also paved the way for some of those people who were in my life at that time, who did impact my life and, caused me to derail, if you will. I think that it also initiated some of that healing,
Okay, so we're gonna make a quick turn.
Okay.
Okay. It's interesting because you've gotten a lot of positive feedback since you've written this book, right? And since you've published it.
Yes.
And that's to come without saying. But there's also some fallout, right? You're always going to get, people that don't necessarily agree with what you're saying or how you remember things. Talk to us about that fallout, right? And then whether or not you would change anything, do anything differently, and or still write the book.
Whoa. Okay. So that's a mouthful. So to answer your question, yes, there is immense fallout. I think that some of the family, some of the friends of the family, some people who, just know people in the family, they're a little upset behind me telling the story. I've been told indirectly, I should have just kept quiet, and I should have just kept silent about those things and just let, old dogs lie, let they be. To me, I felt like, again, I wrote several blogs, I did several videos that felt like suppression all over again. It felt like the trauma rehashing, and I was being impacted all over again. To tell somebody not to tell their story, it just made me feel dirty inside, especially from what I've been through. Trauma is not something, especially when you're talking about a child going into her teenage years, developing, and then to young adulthood. Those traumas is not something that I vicariously experienced. I went through that. And I felt like, I give myself permission to speak these truths, to bring them to light. Yes, it may hurt somebody. Yes, it may make them feel uncomfortable. It may bring back some uncomfortable feelings. But, what about the pain that I had to endure? What about that, like I have on my book, on my cover, and I often quote, is I shielded myself behind stone of pain. But today I stand upon it. And I feel like I shouldn't have to do that. Hiding from my past made me feel dirty. It made me feel like I was still being victimized. And, no matter how successful I became, I still felt like my past was tugging at me, behind me, saying, what about us? Did you forget about us? We haven't gone anywhere. So I had to do this. This was my therapy. Especially when I was never afforded that as a child or as a teenager, with the atrocities that I've been through. Your latter part of, what was the second part of your question?
Would you do anything different and or still write the book?
What I probably would do different, what I would have liked to have done differently, if I could have, is maybe I would have reached out to some of those folks that are in my book, just to let them know, this is what I want to do. I'm writing this story not to hurt you, to condemn you, or to put you in some way, in some light. I'm doing it because this is my therapy, and it's going to be your therapy and somebody else's therapy. Unfortunately enough, some people are in the same situation, the same condition 30, 40, 50 years ago. And, my outreach would have been, pretty much dismissed. Would I write the book knowing everything that I know now, all the backlash that I've been getting? Yes. Yes, I would do it, and I would have done it sooner. I would not have waited this long to write my book. I feel like if you have a story to tell, especially one of my magnitude, I should have been with a bullhorn, just going through the streets and just screaming, shouting my voice, because there was a time when I didn't have one.
So look, we would be doing a disservice, right? If we would say, or wouldn't, I guess, call out that words can make or break a relationship, and even shape relationships, for that matter. Your book exposes a lot, right? I mean, again, it's amazing to anyone that would read your book to see what you went through, right? So that was like the old, right, Talisha, and then what you are today, and it's fascinating for anyone that would read the book to understand that. But a lot of it's the premise of really the toxicity of people, right? So it's like, it's like, I look at you and I see like all of the success, and I know what you came through and came from. And, do you still feel like, a lot of this, like a good percentage of this is just releasing yourself from toxic people, toxic environments, and toxic surroundings? So, can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I often say that I don't keep toxic people in my circle for a reason. So can you talk to that?
Yes. I just did a video Saturday, ironically enough. And this is not prep, y'all. This is all 100% natural, all organic questioning. I just did a video Saturday, I believe, speaking about releasing and letting go of toxic people. And I kind of took it in an aim where people can better understand. Meaning, if somebody is addicted to drugs, if they're addicted to alcohol or whatever the addiction may be, they have to go into a facility, okay, for help. Because sometimes we're not strong enough, y'all, to let go of these people or to let go of these vices. So we have to go into a facility, remove ourselves from an environment, a toxic environment, whereas though we can, clean ourselves up. So the same thing applies to this question, to this scenario in my life. I had to let go of people I deemed were toxic by the very definition. And in doing so, I was able to change my life. I was able to look at myself closely to say, I don't agree with what I was doing. That, there is something that I want to give to my sons. I want them to have a standard to live by. I have expectations like they have expectations for themselves. And then I also wanted to challenge myself to be better. I felt like if I don't challenge myself now, I would never know. So, and I hate to frame people in such light and say that they are toxic, but I was once toxic as well. And I believe that we have to, speak direct and speak to things for what they are, okay? And not to dress things up and, or dress things down and say, well, you're acting a little ugly. No, if you're toxic, you should be called out on it. If you're lying, you should be called out on it. If you're, so forth and so forth. So I'm thankful that I was able to break free because I was addicted to a certain lifestyle and addicted to being around certain people and doing those same habits and, having these same things repetitively. So I'm glad that I did let go because by me letting go, I was able to fulfill my dreams, goals, and ambitions.
Wow. Extremely powerful, again, from everything that you described in your book. I wish we had forever, right, to talk about this, but I get it. People are busy, so they just want us to kind of just do a quick segment. And, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Right, and just kind of summarize. So we opened with your accomplishments, and again, that's huge.
Thank you.
And to think what you had to go through, right? Mm-hmm. What you had to endure. Mm-hmm. And, you could have easily said, what, let me continue to hide behind this rock.
Yeah.
Let me continue to just keep it within me. Keep that stress, right? Those memories, everything inside of me. And not really express what I was going through, what I had to endure, and expose it, right? Yeah. I mean, it is what it is at this point. Mm-hmm. But it's just amazing. And I'm hoping that there are other folks that are out there right now that have either read the book or are going to read the book that might be going through the same situation, instances, circumstances, whatever it may be, to look at you and say, she's an inspiration to me. Her words are an inspiration to me. I can do this.
Yes, you can.
I can do this, right? I could get through these obstacles. I can turn these obstacles and challenges into success stories.
Yes.
And then turn around the same way you did and say, hey, look, okay, yes. I'm another success story. Yes. I can do this. There are people that I've spoken to, okay, over the course of a lifetime, from my military career onward, that had said I was so close to suicide at one point. And I'm so glad I picked up the phone or I read something that encouraged me to continue going.
Yes.
I'm a different person today because of it, right?
Yes.
So, you know, having said that, and to be respectful of your book, right? I'm just going to use my own words here. I'm going to say, look, it's equivalent to a blockbuster movie on the big screen. You can't stop now. Everybody's looking for the sequel. What's next? You know, and it's got to be, look, it's got to be this good, right? Because the sequel has to be, you know,
even better, right?
At least
I gotta bring it
as good, if not better, right? So what you got something in the pot right now brewing, and what's next?
I wouldn't be Talisha if I didn't.
Okay.
I always have something. Listen, I am always doing something. I'm always working on some type of project. If I'm not in a community, if I'm not doing something at home, I'm working. Believe me, my mind never stops. I just want to, you know, make up for time lost, and as in addition, I want to help somebody else. So my next project is going to be, I'm working on my second book, because what I've been getting from a lot of you is, Talisha, you told us this hellbound story of the things that you've been through, but you never told us how you was able to get out of it. And for somebody who, again, went through the magnitude of hardships and the things that I've been through, these gut-wrenching, monstrous atrocities, that is important. That is important, and I think that is the key with everything. We fail to leave that blueprint behind. How did you do it? Yes, you're successful, but how? So I'm writing my second book. I'm not going to reveal the title yet, but it is in the making, and I'm going to do it in a concise way, telling you exactly how you can not only get yourself out of these toxic environments, these toxic relationships, situationships, you know, whatever the new buzzword is, and start focusing on yourself first. And then if you have children, you know, how you can do this at the same time, because I was able to do it. I managed it. I think I managed it well. The book is not going to be as gritty as my first book. My first book, my debut book, is cover to cover gritty, and I'm very transparent and authentic about my life journey. You know, it's not just childhood; it initiated in childhood, so that's why I titled it as such. This goes up into my late 20s. So stay tuned. Let me give me some time, but I plan to have this book released in spring of 2021. Okay, and that is going to be the blueprint. But right now, I want y'all to focus on Childhood on Fire, because as my interviewer, my brother, stated in the beginning, is you would be amazed at my success story. You know who I am now, but where I came from, that is the key piece of it. When you read my story, most people have asked me, you know, I'm surprised you didn't end up in the crazy home. I'm surprised that you didn't end up as an addict. I'm surprised you're still not there. So again, this is, it's incredible. And I don't owe all of this, you know, of course, you know, our mother, in her plight before everything happened, she sowed those seeds in us. So I've always kept God anchored inside of me. And he and my sons, and of course you guys stayed on the landscape of my mind during those times. And that's, you know, one of the ways that I was able to get out of my rut. So thank you for doing the Q&A. I really appreciate this.
I'm going to close with this.
Okay.
I'm going to say, as someone that has, you know, been by your side and has seen you go through the struggles, to come out a roaming butterfly. Okay, let's just use that as an analogy.
Okay.
It's even hard for me to fathom what you've gone through. You know, because sometimes you kind of suppress it a little bit, right? It stays in your mind, but you kind of suppress it. And I think that during those times, as you suppress it, you tend to make light of it, right? You tend to just want it to go away, and like you said, just kind of brush it under the rug or keep it behind that stone wall. But I think that your story is phenomenal, and I think that there's a lot of people that could benefit from your book, from your story, right? Your knowledge and your encouragement. Don't stop, whatever you do, because it's important for us. Again, those stories, regardless of whether or not they're of pain, right? Those memories are painful. Don't suppress it.
No.
Right?
It's the worst thing you can do. The worst thing that you can do is ignore it and pretend that it does not exist. You're going to make something manifest inside of you that is not going to be for the better. Always acknowledge the pain. Never run from it. In fact, run to it. Run towards it. Hug it. Embrace it. And realize, hey, yeah, it was me. I had a past. I did those things. Yeah, but I overcame them. And so that makes the icing on the cake, so much even sweeter, is because not only did you get out of it, but you replaced it with something even greater.
Wow, that's powerful. Again, thank you for writing the book. If you hadn't had the courage to do it, we would never have heard the story.
Yeah, that's true.
There wouldn't be any exposure.
Yep,
right?
That's true.
And again, there might be somebody out there going through the same circumstances, right? Same scenario.
Correct.
That may be saying, if somebody else just steps out first, I'll step out with mine, right? I'll follow.
Correct.
So hopefully, I'm a policy person, right? I'm hoping that this creates a grassroots movement, and in doing so, there's a sisterhood that comes together collectively to help change policy.
That would be amazing. Yes, and I know we're getting ready to close, and that is so important because I do believe the system failed me twice. And I believe if the policy was lined up with ethics at that time, so many things could have been prevented. So I always felt like the state of New York failed me. Read my book, you'll understand why. I felt like Baltimore City police failed me back in 1992. Read my book and you'll understand why. So again, yes, policy is so important. So if you are your own success story, you want to be your own success story, definitely reach out. Let's develop a sisterhood, not just around our pain, but around our success and our ambitions and goals and things that are gonna not just strike down that stone of pain. We want to build on it.
Love it. I love it. Well, appreciate you, and thank you for attending another Virtual Monday. We thank you. Please stay safe and be good to one another. Until next time.